The scent of old coffee and unread books clung to the air in the small apartment, a silent testament to Maya's solitary mornings. It had been 6 months since she'd seen Alex, 6 months since their fiery arguments had culminated in a quiet, heartbreaking split. Yet, every now and then, a stray memory, a particular song on the radio, a forgotten joke, the way he used to crinkle his nose when he laughed, would pierce the carefully constructed facade of her new, independent life. They had been inseparable since university, a whirlwind romance built on shared dreams and late-night talks that stretched into dawn. Alex, with his easy charm and boundless energy, had been the perfect foil to Maya's more reserved, contemplative nature. He'd coaxed her out of her shell, introduced her to new adventures, and made her believe in a love that felt as expansive as the sky. But somewhere along the way, the cracks had started to appear. It began subtly. A missed call, an unanswered text, a fleeting glance at his phone that Maya couldn't quite decipher. Then came the whispers of doubt, fueled by overheard conversations and anonymous messages that hinted at Alex's supposed indiscretions. Maya, always prone to overthinking, found herself caught in a spiral of suspicion. She wanted to trust him, desperately, but the insidious seeds of doubt had taken root. Alex, for his part, had grown increasingly frustrated by her questioning. He saw it as a lack of faith, an unfair accusation against his unwavering loyalty. He would defend himself with a ferocity that only served to fuel Maya's insecurities, making her wonder if his anger was a shield for a deeper truth. Their once vibrant conversations devolved into bitter accusations and strained silences. "You don't trust me, do you?" he'd bellowed one evening, his face flushed with a mixture of hurt and indignation. Maya's voice had been barely a whisper. "How can I, Alex? When everything feels so vague." He had thrown his hands up in exasperation. "Vague? What's vague, Maya? My love for you? My commitment? Is that what you think is vague?" That night, the words had become weapons, carving deeper wounds than any physical blow. They had both said things they regretted, things that couldn't be unsaid. The final argument had been a blur of tears and slammed doors, ending with Alex walking out, a promise of "I need space" hanging heavy in the air. That space had never closed. Now, Maya would often find herself staring at their old photos, a wistful ache in her chest. She missed him terribly. Missed his booming laugh, the way he'd pull her close when they watched movies, even his annoying habit of leaving his socks everywhere. But the hurt and the unanswered questions still lingered, like phantom limbs after an amputation. Across town, in his own cluttered apartment, Alex was no less haunted. He'd tried to move on, to fill his days with work and new hobbies, but Maya's absence was a constant, dull throb. He replayed their arguments in his head, dissecting every word, every gesture, searching for a different outcome. He remembered the fierce love they shared, the effortless connection that had once felt unbreakable. He genuinely hadn't understood her suspicions. He'd been loyal, fiercely so. The anonymous messages, the vague hints, he dismissed them as malicious gossip, attempts to sabotage their relationship. He'd expected Maya to trust him, to stand by him, to see through the noise. Her unwavering doubt had stung him to the core, making him feel unfairly judged and unloved. "She never believed me," he'd muttered to his best friend, Liam, over a lukewarm beer. "After everything we went through, she still thought I'd betray her." Liam, a pragmatic soul, had just sighed. "Maybe it wasn't about belief, mate. Maybe it was about understanding. You two were always on different wavelengths when it came to expressing yourselves." Alex had scoffed. "We communicated fine. Until she started looking for ghosts where there were none." But deep down, Alex knew Liam had a point. He was a doer, a man of action. Maya was a thinker, a woman who sought reassurance in words and explanations. He'd often struggled to articulate his feelings, believing his actions spoke for themselves. Perhaps, in his efforts to prove his innocence, he had only inadvertently fueled her fears. One particularly rainy Tuesday, both Maya and Alex found themselves drawn to the same antique shop, a quirky little place tucked away on a side street they used to frequent together. Maya was searching for a unique teacup, a small indulgence to brighten her solitary mornings. Alex, on a whim, was looking for an old vinyl record, a nostalgic trip down memory lane. They hadn't seen each other since the breakup, and the air crackled with unspoken history when their eyes met across a dusty display of vintage trinkets. Maya froze, her hand hovering over a porcelain doll. Alex's jaw tightened, a familiar mix of pain and longing flashing in his eyes. "Maya," he said, his voice a low rumble, the sound sending a shiver down her spine. "Alex," she replied, her voice barely audible. The silence that followed was deafening, filled with the ghosts of their shared past. Neither knew what to say, how to bridge the chasm that had formed between them. It was then that a peculiar, ornate pocket watch on the counter caught Maya's eye. It glowed with a faint, almost imperceptible silver light. Intrigued, she reached for it. At the exact same moment, Alex, still reeling from the unexpected encounter, instinctively reached for an equally peculiar, ancient-looking compass next to it, its needle spinning wildly despite the absence of any magnetic field. Their fingers brushed, a jolt of static electricity passing between them. A blinding flash of silver light erupted from both objects, engulfing the small corner of the shop. The air shimmered, and a strange, disorienting sensation washed over them, like falling and flying all at once. When the light faded, the antique shop seemed exactly the same, yet profoundly different. The old shopkeeper, who had been dozing behind the counter, stirred, oblivious. Maya blinked, feeling a strange lightness in her limbs. She looked down at her hands, expecting to see her familiar, slender fingers. Instead, she saw larger, more calloused hands. She looked up, and in the reflection of a nearby mirror, she saw Alex's face staring back at her, wide-eyed and utterly bewildered. Across from her, Alex gasped. He saw his own delicate features, his long hair, his smaller frame. His voice, when it emerged, was high-pitched and distinctly feminine. What just happened?" Maya, or rather, Alex in Maya's body, tried to speak, but the words that came out were deep and masculine. I think we have a problem." The ancient pocket watch and the erratic compass lay dormant on the counter, their silver glow extinguished. The lingering shadows of their lost love had just taken on a whole new, utterly unexpected form. The unspoken resentments, the lingering doubts, and the profound love they still harbored for each other would now be experienced from the inside out, quite literally. Their journey to understanding had just begun, and it promised to be a bumpy and undoubtedly hilarious ride. The initial shock gave way to a wave of pure, unadulterated panic. Alex, trapped in Maya's body, instinctively reached for her chest, a confused frown marring his unfamiliar features. Maya, now inhabiting Alex's taller, broader frame, found herself flexing unfamiliar muscles, a strange sense of power and awkwardness washing over her. This isn't possible," Alex in Maya stammered, his voice higher than he remembered. He looked down at the delicate hands, the slender arms, the curve of a waist he definitely did not possess. He then looked at Maya and Alex, whose wide eyes mirrored his own terror. "Tell me about it," Maya and Alex groaned, her deeper voice feeling alien and unwieldy. She tried to run a hand through her hair, but the movement felt clumsy, her new limbs refusing to coordinate properly. "I think I just inherited your terrible sense of balance." The absurdity of the situation began to set in, momentarily eclipsing their fear. Alex and Maya stumbled, unused to the lighter weight and different center of gravity. He nearly tripped over his own feet, or rather, Maya's feet, and caught himself on a nearby shelf, sending a cascade of porcelain figurines clattering. "Careful!" Maya and Alex exclaimed, wincing. "You're going to break something valuable, or at least something I'd have to pay for." The old shopkeeper, roused by the commotion, peered over his spectacles. "Everything all right, young lady?" "And, young man?" he asked, his gaze lingering confusedly on Alex and Maya, who was now awkwardly trying to pick up a ceramic cat while simultaneously adjusting to a sudden, inexplicable urge to smooth down a skirt. "We're fine, sir." "Just a little clumsy," Maya and Alex said quickly, trying to sound nonchalant, but her voice still felt like a stranger's. She grabbed Alex and Maya's arm, her own former arm, a truly bizarre sensation, and pulled him towards the exit. We should probably go. Once outside, on the bustling street, the true horror of their predicament hit them with full force. Alex and Maya tried to hail a cab, but his gestures were too soft, too hesitant. He felt a sudden, inexplicable urge to check her purse for lipstick. This was not right. This was very, very not right. What do we do? Alex and Maya whispered, his voice trembling. He caught his reflection in a shop window and nearly yelped. His own face, but with Maya's soft, expressive eyes, stared back at him. It was incredibly unsettling. Maya and Alex, meanwhile, was struggling with a different set of challenges. The sudden increase in height and muscle mass was disorienting. She felt a phantom ache in her shoulders from the unfamiliar weight of Alex's backpack. When a stranger bumped into her, she almost instinctively flexed, a surge of protective instinct she hadn't known she possessed. She also noticed the curious glances from passers-by, their eyes lingering on Alex's face. First, we need to get somewhere private, Maya and Alex said, trying to project a sense of calm she didn't feel. She led them quickly to a small, secluded park bench, hidden behind a cluster of overgrown bushes. Sitting down, they stared at each other, the full weight of their bodies swap crashing down. Alex and Maya fidgeted, his new body feeling alien and uncomfortable. He tried to cross his legs, but it felt unnatural. He then found himself automatically adjusting Maya's skirt, a gesture so inherently feminine that it made him recoil in horror. Okay. Maya and Alex took a deep breath, trying to channel Alex's usual logical approach to problems. Let's list what we know. 1. We've swapped bodies. 2. It happened when we touched those things in the shop. 3. This is absolutely insane. Insane doesn't even begin to cover it, Alex and Maya muttered, running a hand through Maya's long, dark hair. It felt incredibly soft, and he found himself subconsciously enjoying the texture. Then he shook his head, disgusted with himself. I feel like I need to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes, and I just had the urge to check my hair in a reflective surface. This is terrifying. Maya and Alex snorted, a deep, rumbling sound that startled her. Try this. I feel like I could arm wrestle a bear, and my jeans are suddenly far too tight in certain areas. And I keep catching myself trying to adjust a phantom bra strap. Despite the dire situation, a tiny, reluctant chuckle escaped Alex and Maya. The sound was high-pitched and distinctly Maya's, and it made him frown even more. Don't laugh. This is serious. How are we going to fix this? They spent the next hour frantically brainstorming, their exchanged voices adding an extra layer of surrealism to the conversation. Maybe it's like in the movies, Alex and Maya suggested, we just need to kiss. He immediately regretted it, a blush rising on Maya's cheeks. Maya and Alex raised an eyebrow, a very Alex-like gesture. You want to kiss yourself? Or rather me? In your body? That's a new level of narcissism, even for you. No, not like that. Alex and Maya protested, waving Maya's hands defensively. I just mean, maybe the magic needs a reconnection. Or maybe we just need to go back to that shop and find those trinkets, Maya and Alex countered, already standing up. That seems like a more logical first step than an incredibly awkward, potentially ineffective kiss in a public park. They decided to return to the antique shop, hoping to reverse the enchantment. The walk back was an exercise in extreme self-awareness. Alex and Maya had to consciously try to walk with Maya's more graceful, albeit sometimes hesitant, gait. He found himself noticing things Maya must have noticed daily, the way people smiled at her, the sudden polite deference from strangers. He also noticed the subtle, uncomfortable tug of her clothing, the sheer difference in physical presence. Maya and Alex, on the other hand, was grappling with Alex's typical swagger. She found herself subconsciously standing taller, her shoulders broader. She noticed how people tended to step aside for him, how shopkeepers addressed him with more directness. She also felt a strange, underlying sense of Alex's usual restlessness, a buzzing energy that made her want to do something, anything. As they re-entered the dusty antique shop, the old shopkeeper looked up, his expression unchanging. The peculiar pocket watch and the erratic compass still lay on the counter, seemingly inert. "Excuse me, sir," Maya and Alex began, her deep voice a little too loud in the quiet shop. We were wondering about these items." She pointed to the watch and the compass. The shopkeeper squinted at them. "Ah, those odd little things. Came in with a batch from an estate sale. Never seen anything quite like them. Don't really do anything, far as I can tell." "They glowed earlier," Alex and Maya interjected, his voice surprisingly firm despite his unease. "A silver light." The shopkeeper chuckled. "Must be the light playing tricks on your eyes, dear. Or maybe too much strong tea." He picked up the pocket watch, then the compass, examining them closely. "No, nothing. Just old, pretty junk." He placed them back on the counter with a thud. Desperation began to creep in. Alex and Maya reached out, his new, slender fingers hovering over the watch. Maya and Alex did the same with the compass. They touched the objects simultaneously, just as they had before. Nothing. No blinding flash, no shimmering air. The trinkets remained stubbornly inert. "It's not working," Alex and Maya whispered, the high-pitched sound of Maya's despair filling the small space. Maya and Alex slammed Alex's hand onto the counter, a sound far louder and more forceful than she intended. "This is ridiculous. There has to be a way." The old shopkeeper, startled, finally looked up with genuine irritation. Now, there's no need for that kind of ruckus. If you're not buying, I'd appreciate it if you didn't damage my merchandise." Defeated, frustrated, and utterly bewildered, they left the shop once more. The city outside seemed to mock their predicament, its normalcy a stark contrast to their personal chaos. They were stuck in each other's bodies with no apparent way back. As they walked, a new, unsettling thought began to dawn on them. They not only had to navigate the physical aspects of their body swap, but also the intricacies of their respective lives. Work, friends, family. How were they going to explain this? Or, more terrifyingly, how were they going to hide this? Maya and Alex sighed, the sound deep and heavy. "So, I guess we're just each other now?" Alex and Maya shivered, a new kind of dread mixing with his confusion. He looked at the reflection of Maya's beautiful, troubled face in a darkened window. I guess so. At least for now." The echo of their lost love had taken an unexpected turn, forcing them into a proximity more intimate than they could have ever imagined. Tomorrow would be a test, a chaotic plunge into the unknown, but for the first time in a long time, they were facing something together. The immediate logistical nightmare became clear the moment they arrived at Maya's apartment. Or rather, Alex and Maya arrived at Maya's apartment, with Maya and Alex awkwardly trailing behind. "Right," Maya and Alex said, surveying the cozy, book-filled space. "This is your place." She gestured vaguely. "And this is going to be a problem." Understatement of the year, Alex and Maya muttered, already feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of decorative pillows. He tried to sit on the plush armchair, but it felt too soft, too delicate for her new frame. He missed the firm, no-nonsense couch in his own apartment. Their first challenge, clothing. "Okay, so obviously we can't go out like this," Maya and Alex stated, looking at Alex and Maya, who was still wearing Maya's floral sundress. The sight was undeniably comical, but neither of them felt like laughing. "You need my clothes, and I need yours." Alex and Maya reluctantly opened Maya's wardrobe. A sea of soft fabrics, flowing skirts, and delicate blouses greeted him. He grimaced. "I don't even know where to start. This is all very frilly." He held up a silk camisole with 2 fingers, as if it might bite him. Maya and Alex sighed, already rummaging through Alex and Maya's drawers. "Look, we're going to have to make this work. We can't just walk around looking like we raided a costume shop. You need to dress like me, and I need to dress like you. For now, at least." The process was an eye-opening and deeply embarrassing experience for both of them. Alex and Maya struggled with clasps and zippers he'd never encountered, feeling utterly flummoxed by the sheer variety of undergarments. He kept tripping over Maya's longer skirts and felt ridiculously self-conscious in anything that exposed her legs. He also discovered, much to his horror, that Maya apparently owned no comfortable, loose-fitting clothes. Every item seemed designed to hug curves he didn't naturally possess. "How do you even breathe in this stuff?" he grumbled, trying to fasten a pair of high-waisted jeans that felt like a torture device. Maya and Alex, meanwhile, was having her own revelations. Alex's wardrobe was a monument to practicality: jeans, t-shirts, hoodies. She found a surprising comfort in the loose fit of his favorite band t-shirt and the sturdy feel of his denim. But she also found herself noticing the subtle wear and tear on his clothes, the faint scent of his cologne clinging to a forgotten sweater, a sudden pang of nostalgia hitting her. She also found, much to her amusement, a rather embarrassing pair of superhero-themed boxers. "Seriously, Alex," she said, holding them up with a wry smile. "Still wearing these?" Alex and Maya, mortified, turned Maya's face away, a deep blush coloring her cheeks. "Hey, those are sentimental." After a considerable amount of fumbling, awkward adjustments, and a few dropped items of clothing, they managed to achieve a passable impersonation. Alex and Maya, now in a pair of Maya's tailored trousers and a simple blouse, still felt like an imposter, but at least he looked less like a man in drag. Maya and Alex, sporting Alex's jeans and a hoodie, felt a strange sense of familiarity, almost as if she were stepping into a well-worn uniform. "Okay, phase 1 complete," Maya and Alex declared, trying to sound authoritative. "Now, what's next? We can't just stay cooped up here forever." "We need to figure out our schedules," Alex and Maya said, his mind already racing. "I have a big presentation at work tomorrow." "You have? What exactly do you do on Tuesdays?" This was where the real challenge began. They had spent years together, but how much did they really know about each other's daily routines, their professional lives, the nuances of their interactions with colleagues and friends? Maya and Alex pulled out Maya's planner. It was meticulously organized, color-coded, and filled with appointments. "Okay, so yoga with Chloe at 7 a.m., marketing team brainstorm at 9 a.m., lunch with Sarah at 1 p.m., and book club at 7 p.m. She looked at Alex and Maya with wide eyes. "Yoga? Book club? I haven't done downward dog since university." Alex and Maya cringed. "And I have a meeting with Mr. Henderson, the biggest client in our firm, at 10 a.m. Then a team lunch and a performance review with my boss at 3 p.m. He gulped. "I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're going to have to be me. At work." The idea was terrifying. Not only did they have to physically inhabit each other's bodies, but they also had to be each other, to convincingly perform their roles without arousing suspicion. "Okay, we need a crash course," Maya and Alex decided, already in problem-solving mode. "Tell me everything. Who are your colleagues? What are your projects? What are your pet peeves at work? Who can I trust? Who should I avoid?" Alex and Maya, now sitting rigidly on the edge of the armchair, began to download information. He described his firm, a fast-paced tech startup, and his role as a senior project manager. He detailed the personalities of his team members, the quirks of his boss, the intricacies of the Henderson project. As he spoke, Maya and Alex scribbled furiously in Maya's planner, trying to absorb every detail. "And your coffee order?" Maya and Alex asked, looking up. "Crucial details, Alex. Black, no sugar. And for God's sake, don't let anyone give me a latte. I hate lattes." Then it was Maya's turn. Alex and Maya listened intently as Maya and Alex described her life as a freelance graphic designer. He learned about her difficult client, her collaborative projects, her creative process. He found himself surprised by the depth of her artistic vision, the meticulousness of her planning. He also learned about her close-knit circle of friends, Chloe and Sarah, and the specific dynamics of her book club. "And my coffee order is a caramel macchiato, extra shot, oat milk," Maya and Alex said with a grin. "Don't mess that up. It's vital to my creative flow." Alex and Maya made a mental note, already feeling a headache coming on. This was going to be an acting performance of a lifetime. As evening descended, a strange quiet settled between them. The initial panic had subsided, replaced by a weary resignation and a burgeoning sense of shared purpose. They were in this together, whether they liked it or not. Alex in Maya found himself unconsciously touching Maya's cheek, a soft, almost tender gesture. He had never truly appreciated the delicate beauty of her face, the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled, the subtle freckles across her nose. Now, seeing it from this intimate perspective, he felt a strange, protective warmth. Maya and Alex, observing this gesture, felt a pang in her chest. She saw her own face, but it was Alex's hand, Alex's unconscious tenderness. It was a glimpse into how he must have seen her, and it stirred something long buried within her. "We need rules," Maya and Alex finally said, breaking the silence. "Strict rules. No looking in each other's private journals, no telling anyone, absolutely no messing with each other's relationships. We're just inhabiting, not interfering." "Agreed." Alex and Maya nodded, his voice still feeling foreign. "And we need a signal. For emergencies. Something subtle." They settled on a discreet cough, 2 quick ones for "I need help" and 3 for "abort mission." It felt childish, but necessary. As they prepared for bed, another layer of awkwardness descended. They were still in Maya's apartment, and there was only one bed. "I'll take the couch," Maya and Alex said quickly, already heading towards the living room. "You need my beauty sleep." Alex and Maya tried to protest, but Maya and Alex had already flopped onto the small sofa, pulling a throw blanket over herself. Lying in Maya's bed, Alex and Maya stared at the unfamiliar ceiling. He felt the softness of her sheets, smelled the faint scent of her perfume on the pillow. He thought about the yoga class he had to attend in the morning, the caramel macchiato order, the intricacies of graphic design. It was a bizarre, terrifying, and strangely intimate preview into the life he had once loved and, in many ways, still did. Meanwhile, on the couch, Maya and Alex found herself surprisingly comfortable. Alex's body, despite its initial awkwardness, felt strong and capable. She thought about the Henderson project, the tough performance review, the black coffee. She wondered how Alex navigated the cutthroat world of tech, how he handled the pressure. A new respect, mingled with a strange curiosity, began to bloom within her. Their forced proximity, their literal walk in each other's shoes, was already beginning to chip away at the hardened layers of their past resentments. The echoes of their lost love were no longer just whispers. They were becoming a loud, undeniable symphony of shared experience. The alarm blared at 6:30 a.m., and Alex and Maya bolted upright in Maya's bed, a scream catching in his throat. He momentarily forgot where he was, then remembered the horror of his new reality. He had to be Maya. For an entire day. Starting with yoga. He stumbled out of bed, feeling inexplicably lighter, and peered into Maya's closet again. He chose a pair of comfortable-looking leggings and a loose tank top, hoping to blend in. The outfit felt utterly alien. Meanwhile, Maya and Alex was already up, having slept surprisingly well on the couch. Alex's body felt invigorated, almost eager for the day. She quickly located Alex's usual work attire, a crisp button-down shirt and smart trousers. As she dressed, she noticed the strength in Alex's arms, the broader set of his shoulders. It felt empowering. "Good luck with Mr. Henderson," Alex and Maya called out, his voice still too high-pitched for his liking, as Maya and Alex headed for the door. "And don't forget the black coffee. No sugar. And you try not to break any bones in yoga." Maya and Alex retorted, a hint of Alex's usual playful sarcasm in her deeper voice. "Caramel macchiato, extra shot, oat milk. Remember it." Alex and Maya arrived at the yoga studio, feeling like a spy in enemy territory. The air was thick with the scent of incense and the low hum of tranquil music. He tried to mimic the serene expressions of the other participants, but inside, he was a coiled spring of anxiety. Chloe, Maya's yoga buddy, greeted him warmly. "Morning, Maya. Ready for some warrior poses?" Alex and Maya offered a weak smile, hoping it looked natural. "Always, Chloe. Just feeling extra zen today." He then proceeded to fumble through the warm-up, his new body proving surprisingly inflexible. He tried a downward dog, and his hamstrings screamed in protest. He glanced at Chloe, who was executing a perfect pose, and realized with a jolt that Maya was incredibly graceful and strong. He'd never really noticed. During the session, he found himself distracted by the sheer effort of simply existing in Maya's body. He had a sudden, inexplicable craving for something sweet. He also noticed, with a flush of embarrassment, how much attention Maya's body seemed to attract from men in the class. He quickly averted his gaze, feeling profoundly uncomfortable. Later, at the marketing team brainstorm, Alex and Maya tried to channel Maya's creative energy. He listened to her colleagues discussing campaigns, trying to remember the details Maya had rattled off. He found himself contributing, but his ideas were more structured, more logical than Maya's usual intuitive leaps. He saw the slight confusion on his colleagues' faces, but thankfully, no one questioned it too deeply. "Maya, that's a surprisingly practical approach," one colleague remarked, a curious flicker in her eyes. "Good, but different." He managed to get through lunch with Sarah, Maya's friend, by mostly nodding and offering vague, agreeable responses. He learned that Maya had been confiding in Sarah about the breakup, and felt a strange pang of guilt mixed with a desire to defend Alex. He heard Sarah's sympathetic take on Maya's emotional turmoil, and for the first time, he saw the depth of Maya's hurt, the very real pain that his actions, or lack thereof, had caused. It was a sobering realization. The book club that evening was another ordeal. Alex and Maya found himself completely unprepared for the passionate literary debate. He'd barely skimmed the assigned novel, and his attempts to contribute were met with polite but puzzled looks. He longed for the logical, data-driven discussions of his own office. He ended the day exhausted, physically and mentally. He felt a profound new appreciation for Maya's daily routine, her graceful strength, her social energy. He also had a newfound, albeit uncomfortable, understanding of the unique challenges women faced, from the subtle nuances of social interaction to the constant pressure to look a certain way. Meanwhile, Maya and Alex was plunging headfirst into Alex's world. She arrived at the tech firm, navigating the bustling open-plan office with a newfound confidence that came with Alex's larger frame. She strode to his desk, took a deep breath, and prepared for battle. She managed to get his black coffee, no sugar, without a hitch. His colleagues greeted her with friendly nods and a few enthusiastic pats on the back. She felt a surge of Alex's innate charisma, a natural ease in social situations that she had always admired and sometimes resented. The meeting with Mr. Henderson was intense. Maya and Alex found herself drawing on Alex's sharp intellect and quick problem-solving skills. She listened to his presentation, feeling a thrill of pride at Alex's competence. When Mr. Henderson brought up a tricky technical point, she found Alex's brain, now her brain, quickly formulating a solution. She spoke with a conviction that surprised herself, channeling Alex's usual assertive demeanor. Mr. Henderson looked impressed. "Excellent work, Alex," Mr. Henderson said, shaking her hand firmly. "You always come up with the goods." Maya and Alex felt a strange warmth spread through her. It was Alex's achievement, but she had been the one to execute it. She saw his pride in his work, his dedication, and a newfound respect blossomed. Team lunch was boisterous. Maya and Alex found herself laughing easily with Alex's colleagues, contributing to their playful banter. She observed the camaraderie, the shared jokes, the genuine respect they had for him. She saw how much he enjoyed this environment, how valued he felt. It was a stark contrast to some of the isolating experiences she sometimes felt as a freelancer. The performance review with Alex's boss, however, was a different story. Mr. Davies, a stern but fair man, outlined Alex's strengths and areas for improvement. He praised Alex's leadership and innovation, but also gently criticized his occasional bluntness and tendency to sometimes steamroll over others' opinions. Maya and Alex felt a jolt of recognition. She had always seen Alex as sometimes insensitive, but now, hearing it from his boss, she understood it wasn't malicious, but perhaps a side effect of his intense focus and drive. She listened, internalizing the feedback, feeling a sense of empathy for Alex that she hadn't anticipated. She also learned about the anonymous messages that had plagued their relationship. Alex's boss mentioned that there had been a disgruntled former employee known for spreading malicious gossip who had recently been let go. The timing perfectly aligned with when Maya's doubts about Alex had begun. A cold knot of dread formed in Maya and Alex's stomach. She ended the day feeling invigorated, but also deeply thoughtful. She saw Alex's dedication, his intelligence, his infectious energy. She also saw the pressures he faced, the expectations, and the subtle ways he sometimes struggled to express himself. She understood his frustration with her earlier doubts, seeing how hard he worked, how much he cared. They met back at Maya's apartment, both utterly spent. Yoga is a torture device, Alex and Maya declared, flopping onto the couch, which now felt surprisingly comfortable. And your book club thinks I'm an illiterate barbarian. He then recounted his day, the awkwardness of being Maya, the unexpected insights into her social life and creative mind. He spoke about the physical demands of her body, the constant awareness of being perceived. Maya and Alex, now sprawled in Alex's characteristic way on the armchair, listened intently. She then shared her own day, the challenges of Alex's work, the impressive presentation, the camaraderie with his team. And then she dropped the bomb. Your boss mentioned a disgruntled former employee, she said, her voice quiet. Someone who was fired for spreading malicious gossip. Alex and Maya stared at her, her face paling. What are you saying? I'm saying, Maya and Alex continued, that it sounds an awful lot like the person who might have been sending you those anonymous messages. The ones that made you doubt me. A heavy silence descended. Alex and Maya felt a cold, hard knot of realization tightening in his stomach. All those arguments, all that pain, all the lingering doubt, had it been for nothing? Had it been based on malicious lies? Maya and Alex saw the dawning horror on her face. I think you were right to doubt, Maya. The messages were real. But I think they were lies. Manipulative lies. The air crackled with unspoken remorse and a profound sense of injustice. They had both walked a day in each other's shoes, and what they had discovered was far more complex and far more heartbreaking than they could have imagined. The echoes of their lost love were now filled with a desperate longing for understanding, and the cruel irony of their situation had just reached a devastating new height. The revelation hung heavy in the air, a silent bomb that had just detonated between them. Alex and Maya, her face etched with a mixture of shock and dawning horror, found himself unable to speak. The carefully constructed narrative of her breakup, that Alex had betrayed her trust, that he was somehow responsible for her pain, shattered into a million pieces. Maya and Alex watched her closely, a grim satisfaction warring with a profound sense of sadness. Mr. Davies said the employee was let go a few months ago. Her name was Brenda. She had a history of making up stories to cause trouble, especially with anyone Alex worked closely with. Apparently, she was fixated. The pieces clicked into place with agonizing clarity for Alex and Maya. Brenda. He remembered Brenda. A temporary assistant who had been overly friendly, almost aggressively so, and whom he had politely but firmly kept at arm's length. He recalled a few uncomfortable instances, but he had never imagined she would go to such malicious lengths. And Maya's doubt, his frustration, it all suddenly made a terrible, tragic sense. So, it was all a lie, Alex and Maya whispered, the words catching in Maya's throat, thick with unshed tears. He was seeing his own face, but the expression was Maya's raw heartbreak, and it was devastating. All the suspicion, all the arguments, because of some jealous ex-employee? Maya and Alex nodded slowly, her voice gentle. It seems so. I even heard a few colleagues talking about it, how Brenda tried to cause trouble for other people too. You were a target, Alex. She paused, then added, and I didn't know how to tell you that I was receiving anonymous messages, how to explain the vague hints. I just thought, if they were true, you'd deny it anyway. Alex and Maya finally broke. Tears, hot and uncontrollable, streamed down Maya's face. It wasn't just the pain of the revelation, but the accumulated grief of their entire breakup, the injustice of it all. He was crying Maya's tears, feeling Maya's profound sorrow, and it was a torrent he couldn't stop. "I'm so sorry, Maya," he choked out, the words ripped from his heart, amplified by the raw emotion of Maya's body. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I thought you just didn't trust me." Maya and Alex came over and sat beside him, her, on the couch. She reached out, instinctively offering comfort, and gently placed Alex's hand on Maya's shoulder. It felt both familiar and incredibly strange, his own hand comforting himself, yet it was Alex's touch, full of a warmth she had missed so desperately. "I know, Alex," Maya and Alex said, her voice heavy with regret. "And I'm sorry too. I should have told you about the messages. I let my insecurities get the better of me. I let fear blind me to the truth." They sat in silence for a long time, the weight of their past mistakes and the cruel irony of their present situation pressing down on them. The body swap, initially a source of terror and frustration, had inadvertently become the catalyst for this painful, yet necessary, truth. Alex in Maya found herself, reliving the arguments, the accusations, the cold silences. He had always felt unjustly accused, but now, experiencing Maya's emotions, he understood the gnawing fear, the insidious doubt that had poisoned her mind. He understood why she had questioned him, even if the premise was false. And Maya and Alex, having spent a day in Alex's shoes, understood his frustration, his hurt at being doubted, his inability to articulate the depth of his loyalty. She saw how his actions spoke louder than his sometimes awkward words, how his life was an open book that she, blinded by suspicion, had failed to read correctly. "I saw how hard you worked today," Maya and Alex said, breaking the silence. "The Henderson Project, you're incredible, Alex. And your team, they really respect you." She paused. "I saw your life. It's full of integrity. It always has been." Alex and Maya looked up, her eyes still glistening with tears. "And I saw your day, Maya. The yoga, the brainstorm, the book club. You're so strong, so creative, so full of grace. And your friends, they love you fiercely. You are not a delicate, easily broken person. You are formidable." A small, tearful smile touched Maya's lips. "And I saw your goofy superhero boxers, Alex. Some things never change." Alex and Maya actually chuckled, the sound a mix of his own deep laugh and Maya's lighter one. "Hey, those are important. And I found a hidden stash of chocolate in your nightstand. You're not as disciplined as you make yourself out to be." The shared laughter, fragile and tinged with sorrow, finally broke the tension. They were still in each other's bodies, still bewildered by their predicament, but a crucial barrier had shattered. The misunderstanding that had driven them apart, the echo of their lost love, was no longer a haunting, but a painful, illuminating truth. "So, what do we do now?" Alex and Maya asked, wiping her face. "We know the truth. But we're still us." He gestured to their swapped bodies. Maya and Alex leaned back, a thoughtful expression on Alex's face. "We figure out how to fix this, obviously. But in the meantime, we continue to live each other's lives. And maybe we learn a little more about each other in the process." There was a new determination in his voice. They had spent months apart, harboring resentment and misunderstanding. Now, they were literally forced into each other's skins, privy to each other's thoughts, feelings, and daily struggles. It was an involuntary intimacy, a crash course in empathy. Over the next few days, their routine became a strange, yet increasingly efficient, dance. They continued to swap clothes each morning, exchange notes on their respective lives, and navigate the social labyrinth of each other's worlds. Alex in Maya found herself, slowly adapting to Maya's body. He discovered a newfound appreciation for comfortable shoes, for the artistry of makeup, for the subtle power of a well-chosen accessory. He learned to manage Maya's demanding freelance schedule, to deal with her sometimes fussy clients, and to appreciate the quiet joy of her creative process. He also found himself surprisingly enjoying the camaraderie of her book club, even if he still occasionally struggled with literary analysis. Maya and Alex, meanwhile, grew more comfortable in Alex's skin. She embraced the challenges of his tech job, finding a thrill in solving complex problems and leading his team. She found herself speaking with Alex's confident stride, making decisions with his decisive manner. She even started to enjoy his black coffee, realizing the efficiency of a no-nonsense brew. She found Alex's friends a bit boisterous, but genuinely warm and loyal. They started having nightly debriefs, no longer just for information, but for genuine conversation. They talked about their experiences, their frustrations, their unexpected joys. Alex and Maya confessed her surprise at Maya's emotional resilience, her ability to bounce back from setbacks. Maya and Alex admitted his admiration for Alex's unwavering focus, his calm under pressure. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, Alex and Maya found herself, making dinner in Maya's kitchen. She had always been a terrible cook, but Maya's well-organized kitchen and carefully labeled spices made it surprisingly easy. He found himself humming a tune, a quiet contentment settling over him. Maya and Alex walked in, smelling the delicious aroma. "Is that your famous pasta sauce recipe, Maya?" he asked, surprised. Alex and Maya, stirring the pot, looked up. "It is now, I guess. Thought you could use a good meal after that client debacle." They ate together, in comfortable silence, a new layer of understanding settling between them. They were no longer just ex-lovers caught in a bizarre predicament. They were partners, collaborators, and in a deeply unexpected way, confidants. The echoes of their lost love were beginning to sound less like a lament and more like a gentle, hopeful melody, a testament to what they had lost and what they might yet rediscover. The next twist in their story, however, was just around the corner, ready to shake their newfound equilibrium. Their forced cohabitation and the daily act of being each other had, remarkably, begun to mend old wounds. The nightly debriefs turned into genuine conversations, punctuated by laughter and shared frustration. They discussed the nuances of their respective worlds, offering advice and insights they never could have given before. Alex, in Maya's body, learned to appreciate the subtle art of negotiation with demanding clients, the quiet satisfaction of a perfectly designed logo. Maya, in Alex's body, found herself drawn to the thrill of problem-solving, the camaraderie of a high-stakes project. One evening, while Alex and Maya was carefully applying a face mask, a new, surprisingly enjoyable ritual, Maya and Alex walked into the bathroom, looking thoughtful. "I've been doing some digging," Maya and Alex said, holding up Alex's phone. "About those objects. The pocket watch and the compass." Alex and Maya peeled off the face mask, revealing Maya's refreshed, glowing skin. "And I found an old forum online, a niche group dedicated to unusual magical artifacts," he explained. "Someone posted about a Chronos navigational pair, an ancient set of enchanted items said to swap the consciousness of anyone who touches them simultaneously. And apparently, the only way to reverse it is to achieve complete emotional and intellectual synchronicity." Alex and Maya blinked. Emotional and intellectual synchronicity? What does that even mean? "It means," Maya and Alex elaborated, pacing Alex's broad shoulders back and forth, "that we have to truly understand each other. Not just intellectually, but empathetically. We have to be on the exact same wavelength, fully in tune with each other's thoughts and feelings, and act with a shared purpose." "So, like, become one mind?" Alex and Maya clarified, a flicker of hope mingled with profound skepticism. "Essentially. The forum suggested that the objects feed on misunderstanding and discord. The more aligned you become, the weaker their magic. And if you achieve full synchronicity, the spell breaks." Maya and Alex looked at Alex and Maya, a glimmer of excitement in Alex's eyes. This whole body swap, it wasn't just random. It was designed to make us understand each other. The revelation was a potent mix of terrifying and exhilarating. They had been forced into an intimate journey of self-discovery, and now they had a map, however vague, to find their way back. "So, how do we achieve complete emotional and intellectual synchronicity?" Alex and Maya asked, running a hand through Maya's long hair. "Do we just meditate together? Read each other's minds?" Maya and Alex grinned, a flash of Alex's charming smile appearing on her face. Well, the forum said acts of profound empathy, shared purpose, and a deep, intuitive understanding. Essentially, what we've been doing, but on a much deeper level. The next few days became a focused mission. They consciously tried to anticipate each other's needs, to intuit each other's thoughts. They finished each other's sentences, picked out clothes for each other that they knew the other would like, and even ordered each other's coffee with uncanny accuracy. Alex, in Maya's body, found himself instinctively reaching for a sketch pad when Maya was struggling with a design block, offering suggestions that were uncannily accurate to her style. Maya, in Alex's body, instinctively knew when Alex's team needed a motivational boost, delivering speeches with his characteristic enthusiasm that resonated deeply. They even started to develop a strange sort of nonverbal communication, a look or a gesture that conveyed entire sentences. There were moments when they would both think of the same solution to a problem, or burst out laughing at the same moment, at the same joke. It felt like they were slowly merging, their individual consciousnesses becoming intertwined. One morning, Alex and Maya was preparing Maya's favorite avocado toast, a task he now performed with surprising dexterity. Maya and Alex walked in, wearing one of Alex's comfortable hoodies. "You know," Maya and Alex said, leaning against the door frame, a thoughtful expression on Alex's face. "I think I finally get why you used to get so frustrated when I questioned your loyalty. It wasn't just about the words. It was about feeling like your efforts, your integrity, were being erased." Alex and Maya turned from the counter, a soft smile on Maya's lips. "And I finally understand why I needed you to say those words, Alex. Why the uncertainty gnawed at me. It wasn't that I didn't believe in your goodness, but that I needed to feel seen, to feel reassured that I was still the one you truly valued, despite the outside noise." Their eyes met, and in that moment, a profound sense of understanding, a deep, resonant empathy, washed over both of them. It was a connection so strong, so clear, that it felt almost tangible. Just then, a faint, silvery shimmer emanated from the coffee table, where the pocket watch and the compass lay. It was subtle at first, then grew brighter, pulsing with an inner light. "It's working!" Alex and Maya exclaimed, her voice filled with a giddy mix of hope and disbelief. They rushed to the objects, their hands instinctively reaching out, just as they had that fateful day in the antique shop. Their fingers brushed the silver surfaces, and the light intensified, enveloping them once more in a blinding flash. The world spun. A familiar disorienting sensation, like falling and flying, engulfed them. Then, just as quickly as it began, it was over. They stood there, blinking, the light fading. Alex looked down at his own strong, familiar hands. Maya looked down at her own slender, delicate fingers. They looked at each other, their eyes wide with disbelief and dawning joy. I'm me," Alex exclaimed, his own voice, deep and resonant, a beautiful sound in his ears. "And I'm me." Maya laughed, her voice, melodic and light, feeling perfectly right in her own throat. They hugged, a fierce, joyous embrace that was utterly unhindered by swapped bodies. It was real, genuine, and filled with the relief of being themselves again. But the story wasn't over. Not quite. As they pulled apart, still grinning, Alex noticed something. He looked at his hand, then back at Maya. "Wait a second," he said, his brow furrowing. Did you get a tattoo?" Maya looked at her arm, then back at Alex's. On her wrist, a delicate, intricate symbol, a tiny, stylized compass and pocket watch intertwined, was now tattooed. And on Alex's wrist, a similar, masculine version of the same symbol had appeared. They stared at each other, a new kind of shock replacing their joy. The spell had been broken. They were back in their own bodies. But they carried a permanent mark, a silent testament to their extraordinary journey. "Well," Maya said, a wry smile touching her lips. "At least we'll never forget this." Alex chuckled, shaking his head. "No, I suppose not. But I think there's one more thing." He reached out, cupping Maya's face in his hands, his thumbs gently stroking her cheeks. His gaze was tender, full of a depth of understanding that hadn't been there before. "I love you, Maya," he said, his voice soft, sincere, and utterly devoid of doubt. "I always have. And I understand you, truly, now." Maya's eyes welled up. She leaned into his touch, her heart soaring. "I love you too, Alex," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "And I finally understand you too. More than I ever thought possible." And then, he kissed her. It wasn't the awkward, hypothetical kiss they had discussed earlier in the park. It was a kiss full of rediscovered passion, profound understanding, and the promise of a future built on truth and empathy. The echoes of their lost love had not only found their voice, but had also blossomed into a vibrant, undeniable symphony. But the tattoos were still a mystery. What did they truly mean? A new plot twist, subtle yet significant, had just revealed itself. The exhilaration of being back in their own bodies was intoxicating. They spent the next few hours simply reveling in the familiar sensations, the comfortable fit of their own clothes, the ease of their own movements, the sound of their own voices. They recounted their individual experiences from their swapped perspective, each detail now imbued with deeper meaning. "I still can't believe I had to go to yoga," Alex grumbled good-naturedly, rubbing his shoulders. "Your body is surprisingly agile, but those poses, oof." Maya laughed, punching his arm playfully. "And I can't believe you actually enjoy those ridiculous superhero boxers, and that your office is so cold all the time. But I have to admit, leading that meeting with Mr. Henderson was a rush. I actually felt powerful." Their laughter faded, replaced by a comfortable silence. The tattoos on their wrists, the intertwined compass and pocket watch, served as a constant, tangible reminder of their extraordinary journey. They traced the delicate lines, a silent question hanging in the air. "So, what do you think these mean?" Maya asked, holding up her wrist. "Beyond just a souvenir, I mean." Alex pondered, looking at his own tattoo. The forum mentioned the objects feeding on discord. Maybe these are a sort of anti-discord charm? A constant reminder to stay in sync. Or maybe, Maya mused, they're a connection. A way for us to actually feel that synchronicity even when we're not swapping bodies. They decided to test her theory, albeit cautiously. The next morning, as Alex headed to work and Maya prepared for her freelance day, they tried a small experiment. "Okay," Alex said, holding up his wrist. "Think about what you want for breakfast, Maya. Really focus." Maya closed her eyes, picturing her usual caramel macchiato and a croissant. A moment later, Alex's eyes widened. "A caramel macchiato and a croissant," he exclaimed. "I just had a sudden, overwhelming craving for that exact combination." Maya gasped, a thrill of excitement coursing through her. "No way. And I just felt a sudden urge to check my email for that client's feedback on the new logo." They continued their experiment throughout the day, sending each other little mental prompts. Alex, in the midst of a particularly dry budget meeting, would think of a funny anecdote they'd shared. Maya, struggling with a creative block, would focus on a particular song. And invariably, the other would pick up on it, a faint echo in their own mind, a sudden shift in mood or a specific image. It wasn't mind reading, not exactly. It was more like a subtle emotional and intuitive resonance. A faint hum of the other's feelings, a whisper of their thoughts, a shared sense of their immediate needs. If one was stressed, the other would feel a sympathetic tension. If one was joyful, the other would feel a lift in their spirits. It was a constant, gentle connection, weaving their lives together in a way they had never experienced before. The unseen connection proved to be incredibly useful and, at times, hilariously intrusive. During a crucial negotiation with a difficult client, Alex felt a sudden, inexplicable urge to draw a small, whimsical doodle on his notepad. He looked down and saw a tiny, intricate pattern taking shape, a style completely unlike his own. Later that evening, Maya showed him a new design concept she'd been struggling with, and it incorporated that exact doodle. "I was so stuck," Maya explained, "and then suddenly, I just had this idea for this little pattern, like it just popped into my head." Alex just smiled, tapping his wrist. "Synchronicity, my dear." Conversely, Maya was in the middle of a delicate conversation with Chloe about her relationship woes when she felt a sudden, powerful need for a very strong, black coffee. She almost excused herself to get one, then remembered Alex's usual morning ritual. "Alex, are you having a particularly rough morning?" she texted him discreetly. His reply came almost instantly, understatement. "Budget meeting from hell." "Why? You sensed my caffeine craving, didn't you?" The constant connection brought them closer than ever. They were no longer just communicating, they were experiencing each other's lives in a new, profound way. The petty arguments, the lingering doubts, seemed almost impossible now that they could feel the genuine intentions and emotions behind each other's actions. Their relationship blossomed anew, but this time, it was built on an unshakable foundation of true understanding and empathy. They still had their differences, of course, but now they approached them with a shared perspective, a deeper appreciation for each other's unique personalities. One evening, as they were making dinner together in Alex's apartment, they had finally decided to move in together, a natural progression given their constant connection. Maya looked at him. "You know," she said, stirring the pasta sauce, "I used to get so angry when you couldn't articulate your feelings, when you'd just storm off. I thought you didn't care enough to explain." Alex, chopping vegetables with surprising deftness, nodded. "And I used to get so frustrated when you wouldn't just trust my actions, when you needed all those words. I thought you didn't believe in me." He paused, looking at her, his eyes warm. "But being you, Maya, I felt how much you needed those reassurances. How those doubts, fueled by outside forces, could truly gnaw at you. And being you, Alex," Maya continued, her voice soft, "I felt how deeply you love, even when you struggled to say it. How your actions, your fierce loyalty, were your purest form of expression." He reached across the counter, taking her hand. Their tattoos, side by side, seemed to thrum with a gentle energy. "We really did walk in each other's shoes," he said, a tender smile on his face. "And learned a lot more than just how to do yoga or manage a budget," Maya added, squeezing his hand. The physical body swap was gone, but the emotional and intellectual synchronicity they had achieved remained, a subtle, beautiful bond woven into the fabric of their everyday lives. It was the ultimate understanding, a love that transcended words, deepened by the most bizarre and unexpected journey. They had lost each other, then literally found themselves in each other, and emerged stronger, more connected, and irrevocably in love. Their story was not just about getting back together, it was about truly seeing each other, for the first time. The final part of their story was about the future, about how this new connection would shape their lives, and the subtle, ongoing humor it would bring. Life, for Maya and Alex, settled into a rhythm that was both familiar and profoundly new. The subtle connection through their tattoos became an intrinsic part of their daily existence, a delightful quirk that constantly reminded them of their incredible journey. It wasn't always profound revelations. Sometimes it was just plain funny. Maya, engrossed in a complex design project, would suddenly feel an inexplicable craving for a greasy burger and fries. She'd look up to find Alex sending her a sheepish mental thought text from his office, accompanied by a mental image of a particularly enticing fast food advertisement. "Seriously, Alex," she'd text back, rolling her eyes playfully. "I'm trying to focus here. My internal monologue does not need a burger craving right now." Alex, on the other hand, would occasionally find himself humming a tune from a classical symphony or contemplating the subtle shades of cerulean blue during a high-pressure meeting. He knew immediately it was Maya, deep in her creative flow, and he'd suppress a smile, feeling a pang of affectionate amusement. The connection also proved incredibly helpful in their careers. Alex, tapping into Maya's creative intuition, found himself offering innovative solutions in his tech firm that surprised his colleagues and impressed his boss. Maya, borrowing Alex's logical, structured thinking, tackled complex client briefs with newfound efficiency and a grounded practicality that elevated her designs. They became a formidable force, both individually and as a couple, their unique blend of creativity and logic enhancing every aspect of their professional lives. Their friends, too, noticed a change. Alex was more expressive, more openly affectionate, and listened with a depth he hadn't possessed before. Maya was more confident, less prone to overthinking, and had a newfound assertiveness. Chloe, Maya's yoga friend, remarked, "You two are practically glowing." And Alex, "You actually remember details about my life now. It's alarming." One evening, during a dinner party with their closest friends, Liam observed them with a knowing smile. "You guys are a little too in sync lately. Are you reading each other's minds or something?" Alex and Maya exchanged a look, a shared secret twinkling in their eyes. "Something like that," Alex said, grinning. "Let's just say we've learned a lot about each other," Maya added, squeezing Alex's hand under the table. The tattoos became a private, cherished symbol of their unique bond. When one felt a surge of love for the other, a gentle warmth would spread from their wrist, a silent echo of their affection. When one was struggling, the other would feel a sympathetic ache, prompting a reassuring text or a comforting embrace. The experience had taught them profound lessons. Alex learned that vulnerability was not a weakness, and that expressing his feelings verbally was just as important as demonstrating them through actions. He understood Maya's need for reassurance, and he willingly provided it, his words now imbued with the empathetic understanding he had gained while being her. Maya, in turn, learned to trust not only Alex, but also her own intuition. She understood that Alex's occasional bluntness came from a place of directness, not malice. She saw the immense pressure he operated under and appreciated the quiet strength and integrity that had always defined him. The ghost of doubt that had plagued their past was finally, irrevocably, laid to rest. Their future, once uncertain and fraught with unspoken resentments, now stretched before them, clear and bright. They moved into a larger apartment together, a space that blended Maya's artistic flair with Alex's minimalist practicality. They planned adventures, supported each other's dreams, and faced life's challenges as a truly unified team. Years passed. The initial shock of the body swap faded into a cherished, almost mythical memory, but the connection remained. They learned to filter the mental chatter, to focus on the important emotional cues while letting the mundane cravings or fleeting thoughts pass by. One quiet afternoon, as they sat on their porch swing, watching the sunset, Maya leaned her head on Alex's shoulder. "Remember that antique shop?" she asked, a soft smile on her face. The old shopkeeper, completely oblivious to the magic happening right under his nose. Alex chuckled, wrapping an arm around her. "Best argument ever. Who knew a body swap was what we needed to actually understand each other?" Maya looked at her wrist, at the subtle, beautiful tattoo that pulsed with the warmth of Alex's presence. "Sometimes," she said softly, "you have to walk a mile in someone else's shoes to truly see them. Or, wear their superhero boxers." Alex laughed, a deep, joyful sound that resonated through her. "And sometimes, you have to wear a floral sundress and go to yoga to realize how strong and graceful the person you love truly is." Their love story wasn't perfect. It had been messy, complicated, and utterly bizarre. But through the chaos of a body swap, the painful revelations, and the unexpected gift of an unseen connection, they had found a love that was deeper, richer, and more understanding than they could have ever dreamed possible. The echo of their lost love had not only returned, but it had transformed into an eternal, harmonious symphony, playing softly in the quiet synchronicity of their intertwined hearts.